Hilly Hilly, welcome to Chukchansi language class number 9. Yet ha mai, let's speak Chukchansi. Today, the focus of our class is our noun clans and learning object and subject with that. But we also are going to review from last week, so we'll have our pronouns and make sure that we have those really solidified in our mind. And we'll review the third part of Coyote props up the sky. I want to give thanks to the people that help us create so much stuff for language to come to you. So, of course, always Holly, thankful for her work, and then Neekin, Brian, and Chris at Fresno State for helping us. Also, a big thanks to the PRCI language team. We have Ted, Shauna, Michaela, and Dustin. Usually, Shauna is on our in-person class or our live class online and creates a lot of materials that you see here too. She helps me with that. And Dustin, also, you'll hear his voice on some things that he creates and we use here in class. A quick review of some rules to keep in mind. Always be encouraging to other learners. Mistakes are okay. It's okay to try things and not be right. You just keep moving on and learning from them. Practice as often as you can. So if you want to replay the video and just echo it, it's really good for you. Make sure that you write how it makes sense to you if you're writing something new and you want to get used to it. Then you can always pick up our standard spelling system as you learn. Use language day to day as best you can. It helps really solidify your learning. This is our target vocab for the week. So our first word is the word for wood or logs, and it's hedesh, hedesh. And then the object form, it's hedesha, hedesha. To know something or to understand is hudit, and then hudto, hudto. If you put something down or you put it away, it's chayat, chayat or chayata. And then the word for catch or grab or hold is all the same word. So it's potit and poto. Potit and poto. This was last week's vocab. So we had the word think, chadmat and chadmata. For help, we had omelet and amilta. Then for say, we had willet and wilta. To move or to shake is wukyut, wukyuta. And the word for haloman only has one form of the word, so it's actually the word always only has one form of the word, it's haloman. And the first set of vocab that we had from the story was the word kill, hashawat, hashawata. Sky is waʔlaʔ and waʔlaʔan. To touch is nuit and niuta. People is yokuch and yokochi. And animals, hogikin and hogigna. So available on Quizlet is some of the terms that you could practice. So you could learn them, practice matching them. It's a really great way to get caught up on words or to just practice them. And 4 words doesn't sound like a lot each week, but it adds up to quite a bit of understanding in a story. So again, we have hedesh and hedesha for wood or logs. Hudit and hudto is to know. Chayat and chayata is to put away or put it down. Potit and poto is to catch, grab, or hold. And in the story, it's used for the word hold. So you can go on to Quizlet and practice these words and all the words for the vocab for this story. That was our target word review. We're moving on to the story. So Coyote props up the sky. We also say Coyote lifts up the sky. It could be either one of those verbs in the middle. And how we say it in Chukchansi is Kaʔyuʔ Halaʔletaʔ Waʔlaʔan. Kaʔyuʔ Halaʔletaʔ Waʔlaʔan. Coyote lifts up the sky. Hayam Aleph. So that's what we use to have our beginning of our story, like a long ago. We say Waʔla Amayo Holgi. So the sky and the earth, niwishta, they touched each other. Waʔlaʔ hontata amal holgil. The sky was bouncing up and down on the earth. So waʔlaʔ is the sky, and hontata is to go up and down, to bounce. Ama, there, holgil, on the earth. The next sentence. Te na'ash yokat nani hogikin demenal tanal ama. So if any person, so the person is the yokach, natni hogikin, and that's for animals. Demanatal tanal is tried to go. So two verbs right next to each other. And then ama is there. Natni ama, they, maybe they. Na'ash, could hashawan, be killed. Kaʔyuʔ Halaʔletaʔ Hin. Coyote wondered or thought about. To think about is chedmata. Wondered about this. Hin. Then we don't need to say the word he every time. So if I'm talking about he or she or it, instead of using ama, I could leave that out. So it left it out on this one. So hoyochta amla yokochi. So he wanted to help, and amla being help, and yokochi being people. Amla wilta, so he said, ahomp my na'ash, hunicho holomen. We can't be like this all the time. So can't would be the ahomp, and we would be might. And then holomen is all the time. So then we go to ahomp na'ash watla wukya. So the sky should not move or shake like this. Now here's the part of the story that's new for this week that we're focusing on. So Kaʔyuʔ for coyote, ta'anhudto, hawitmi mian dishe. So he knew for hudto, hawitmi, how, then he would fix it. So dishe is going to fix. Ama chedmata. So he thought, Chayal na na'ash hedesha adlin watlao. He thought I should put, so chayal is to put, and I, for the word I, we have na, and then wood is hedesha, and adlin for under. And then we know the word watla for sky, so we added that W so that we could talk about where it is to put it to the sky. Potichoit sipin. So to put up as a holder upper. Anytime you have that itch, it's like an event or a person, sort of like the doer of that. So as a holder upper underneath. Chadmata. So then he thought, na na'ash chayal hedesha. So he thought, no, I should not put down or put up the wood. So hedesha being wood and chayal being to put it down. Not is for I, and then ahomp for not. Then we have not neat, na'ash chiknat. So it could rot. With this week's focus words, wanted to look at how we could take those words on the bottom and move them up in the missing boxes to have that story portion make sense. So if you're paying really good attention, can you put the words back in the story where they go? These are our target vocab words for the week. So here's Kaʔyuʔ Halaʔletaʔ Waʔlaʔan part 3. Coyote knew how he's going to fix it. So we're going to see which words are missing in Chukchansi and place them in there. So we have Kaʔyuʔ, ta'an, and that box goes to know. We have the verb to know. So down here we have hudto, chayal, hedesha, potichoich, and then chayal again. So out of these words, can you recognize what's missing for to know? He knew. Hopefully you got this one. Hudto was missing. Then our next sentence said, he thought, Ama chedmata, I should put some hard wood. So we're missing to put, and we're missing wood. So down here, we're going to look. We're missing the first word, then not na'ash jawani, and then missing another word. So which one of these words means to put up or put away? So you can remember that. It's the one that starts with an X. So we have khayal. And then the word for wood, hopefully you can remember that one, is hedesha. And this is in the object form. There's hedesh in the subject form and hedesha in the object form. So we put the wood under the sky. So adlen Waʔlaʔ. And then again, that Waʔlaʔ has a W on it because that's the location where the wood is going. So to hold it up, and we have sippin for up, but we're missing the word as like a holder upper. So out of these words, we had that word to potit, right, for holding. So we have it in this other form, potichoich. That one goes right here. So then we have chedmata, ahomna na'ash. We need a word, 2 words in a row. So it would need to match for put and would. And since we just had one a few sentences ago, you guys should be familiar with both these words because they're repeats in the story. So kaʔyuʔ is for the put, and then hedesha for the wood. So chedmata ahom na na'ash kaʔyuʔ hedesha. And he changed his mind on this one. He should not put the wood, and the reason why is natni na'ash chiknal. It could rot. This time I'm going to just do the Chukchansi in the story with the matching pictures, and we're going to get to a point in the story that we haven't got to, where we really dive deep into the vocab and translations. So we'll just add to that next week and tell the rest of the story next week. And you could look on the other ones too if you want to, but I thought it would be nice just to have straight hearing the whole story in Chukchansi. So, Kaʔyuʔ Halaʔletaʔ Waʔlaʔan. Hayema alet Waʔlaʔ amayo hogi niwishta. Waʔlaʔ hontata ama hogiu. Te na'ash yokuch nani hokikin temeno tano ama. Nani aman na'ash hashawen. Kaʔyuʔ chedmata hin. Hoyochta amla yokochi. Ama wilta. Ahomp my na'ash hunicho holomen. Ahomp na'ash Waʔlaʔ wukyal. Kaʔyuʔ ta'an huto. Whitme mi'in dishe. Ama chedmata. Khayal na na'ash jawani hadesha adlen Waʔlaʔ. Poti choich sippin. Chedmata. Ahomp na na'ash khayal hadesha. Natni na'ash chiknal. Edmam na na'ash khayal chaya. Na'ash tishahanal
khoyen
dadachu.
It could be taken from a dish
Na'ash
like.
tishahan machwishta mayan. Mian tanta amata wentau. Mian tashichoto. Mian Waʔlaʔan hontatau. Khayata chaya. Ama onoshan Waʔlaʔ takwenta ama chayao. Mian heda podichon Waʔlaʔan. We're just going to do a quick review of our alphabet and vowels and consonant rules. Before we review our alphabet, let's really quickly go over our vowels and the sounds that they make. So we have A for A, Eh for E, I for I, O for O, and U for U. So we have A, I, O, U. A, I, O, U. A, I, O, U. And our alphabet, if you want to pause and look over any of these words just to practice how to say them, we're going to go over some of the key things to take away from the alphabet and try to remember. So it's important to remember that there's 2 M's, 2 N's, 2 W's, 2 Y's, and 2 L's. Now, the one that you're familiar with is one that looks just like English. It doesn't have that apostrophe next to it. And what it means is that it's glottalized. It's going to have a fast stop on the ones that do have it. So these are going to be at the end of a word or a syllable sometimes. Sometimes they'll be in the middle of the word if they're at the end of a syllable, but mostly at the end of a word. And it kind of is its way of, if it's in subject, if it's in the noun form of a word and it's the subject, it lets you know that by having that glottalized sound at the end, like that fast stop. The ejective letters also look like they're repeating because we have a regular K like you would say in English. Then we have an ejective K, like in the word kosoy. So it's that pause and holding of breath and then letting out your breath when you say it. So kosoy for mouse. Or we have regular CH, like checha, just in like the word dog. But we also have the CH that's ejective. So in the word like that we have for bat is chip chipple. Chip chipple. So you can hear that breath holding and then the release of it. So that's the ejective sound. We also have that for P, like pel for road is what we're used to. And then we also have this ejective P, like onosh, onosh. Then we have T like tele for teeth, or we have the T that's ejective like tayi, tayi. So you can hear how you kind of hold your breath and release it. Tayi for lake. These letters won't be found in Chukchansi. Every once in a while we do have an R word, but there's only 3 of them. So the R's usually become L's in Chukchansi, and the F's usually end up being P sounds if we're trying to change an English word to Chukchansi. But most of the time we have a whole new word for them. And then Z, Q, V, we don't have any of those sounds. We don't use them. C only we use for the CH. So the classic K sound in English, it has 2 letters that represent it, C and K. And so we just use the K sound for plain C. But we do have CH. Let's review the pronouns that we learned last week. This is a poster to remind you of the words that we don't need in Chukchansi. So all of the green words are locatives. We use them by identifying them with a W in the Chukchansi language, but from English, all of these words are not needed. So we don't need any translation for these. All of the orange ones are states of being. So we don't need these ones either, or have. And then the red ones, really common in English to use an, a, and the, but we don't need them to be translated into Chukchansi because there's no word for them. We're going to review singular pronouns, which we learned last week. We only spent 1 week on it because it's so common to use these pronouns that you'll get plenty of practice. It's almost every sentence that you would use these because you usually talk about yourself. You talk to someone, you use you or he, she, or it. So most sentences use these 6 forms of words. So we have not and none for I and me. So if you wanted to say, I am tall, you would use not. Or he saw me, none. If you wanted to talk about someone else, like you're saying you ran, or you are tall, ma is the word for you, ma. That's in the object form. If something is happening and you want to use the word you, like the cat ran to you, mom. You'd use mom in that case because that's the object form. And then he, she, and it, that's all the same word, ama. If that's the subject, ama. Like let's say you wanted to say he saw the dog. You'd start with, you'd want to use ama tashit checha an. So ama. Now if you want to talk about someone else and you would use him, her, or it, like the cat ran to her, you'd use And this is one of the only cases we always have object and subject form for nouns. So this is one of the only cases where the object form is actually a shorter version of the word than the subject form. So just remember that with this. It's kind of a special case. So we made some sentences. So let's see. We have he yawned. Ama kayam wishta. He yawned. So you can also put the verb first. That's very common to put the verb first, but we do have free word order. So either one is fine. You can also do, let's say we wanted to do I slept. Not woyota. But you could make any sentence that you want. Just remember if you're using the subject form of the word or the object form. Just got to start to differentiate between the two. Now last week we used pronouns to make some really simple statements. And it was really important that we not try to translate those states of being. So those were the orange words that we covered in the poster a little while ago. So we don't need to look up a word for be or am or is or are, was, were, being, or been. So we're just going to drop those. There's no translation needed. So if we wanted to say, I am skinny, not chibna. So I am skinny. We use that first form of the word I. So it's not is the subject form of I. If we wanted to say she is something, like she is little, ama koliswa. Ama koliswa. So we just need to basically say the pronoun, which is in the subject form, and then give the adjective that goes with it. That's all you need, just 2 words. If you wanted to say you are bald, ma bal shana. Ma bal shana. You are bald. Or he is tall. Ama wa'at. Ama wa'at. Now, all of these we could have switched and put the adjective first. So, koliswa ama. Chibna na. Balshana ma. Or wa'at ama. It still has free word order in this one. Something interesting that you could start wrapping your brain around is that if you're using the word ama, you can actually drop it because we're going to, the assumption is that you're talking about someone else. So whether it's he, she, or it, if you drop ama, it still means the same thing. So something to think about as we move ahead. It's kind of just very different from English. So we'll get used to practicing that in the future. So here's some practice that we did with just making a statement. So if I want to say, I am big, na koti, na koti, I am big. And I use the subject form because I am the subject of that sentence. It's kind of like, think of it as the main character. So number 2 was, he is bossy. So I don't need to translate is, I just need he and bossy. So ama amu hush. Amu hush. And then number 3, it is a baby. Ama pai. Ama pai. If I wanted to use the word, let's go to number 6. You are annoying. Chaliu ma. So you are annoying. Or if I wanted to say, I am cheap, not hijma. Not hijma. So these are all using our pronouns in the subject form. So it's really good to get practice if you're just making statements, just to put that, either use na, ma, or ama, just to get practice putting it in the subject form. This activity gave us a chance to practice the object form of the word. So that last one we only used in the subject form. Those were na, ma, and ama. But this one is the other form, which is the object. So usually it's longer, except for that rare case with ama and But for the most part, in the whole dictionary, all the nouns, these are the longer form of the word. You just have to remember that special case with ama and But we're going to use nan, mom, or So me, you, or him, her, or it. So in this case, we have like an animal, and then it's doing something to someone else. So this first one, it says, an example actually, the duck chased me. So what, Kaʔyuʔ none. So I'm using that object form, the second form of the word for I. Or number 1, the duck chased you. Instead of the duck chased me, it's the duck chased you. And actually, I realized that it's a squirrel. That's okay. We'll fix that. So if we go by the picture, it'd be Mao, yeah, wallet, mom. So she's pointing to you, not yeah, wallet, mom. Or number 2, it has an eagle, and the girl's pointing to like he, she, or it, maybe. So the eagle saw her. Ashit wushel If I wanted to use the dog saw me, tashit checha mom. So taking that second form of the word for all of these. Something is happening to I or you or he, she, or it. Now this one gave us a chance to practice finding it in either the object form of the word or the subject form of the word. So this one mixes it up back and forth. So which one is missing? If I have the fox chased it, oucha, yeah, wallet, and I need the object form for it. So something is happening to it. It should be the second form of the word. So would go there. If I have number 2, you saw the cat, it's missing a word, and then tashet gaduan. So it's missing the word you. And you in this case is the doer. He's the subject. So up here, you'd either choose ma or mom, and it should be ma because he's the doer. You is the doer in this sentence. Often, if it's just a basic English sentence, the subject often comes first in English, and the object is at the end of the sentence. But that's not always true. So it's not good to like get in the habit of thinking that way, but maybe it's just as you're getting started, you could remember that. She touched the deer. So it's missing a word, and then otet hoyi. So she is the subject. She's also at the beginning of the sentence, so we could put ama there. Ama. Here's some other examples. Let's go to number 6. I saw the eagle. So I is the subject of it. So tashit wushala would be see an eagle. And you can already tell eagle has some extra ending on it. So we need the short form for I because I is the subject. So we'd say na. And the next one, number 7, it touched the bear. Would we want the subject or the object in this case? Because we have potit nohon. So we need the subject form for it. That means it's going to come in the front. Ama. You could put ama at the beginning of that. And one more, he saw the skunk. So something tashit sochi. So for the form of he, we would get to choose either ama or And because he is the doer, he's the subject of it. He also comes at the beginning of the English sentence. We could put ama there. So it's good practice in there for you guys to get used to pronouns in both forms. And we're going to move on to noun clans, our introduction to the main portion of our learning this week. And it's important to remember that noun clans, they're not like our actual clans that we usually have within our families. It's part of our tradition. It's just a fun way to remember, kind of giving a visual representation or an animal that represents the type of word, because you're going to remember that word really well. So they're just for fun to kind of like solidify in your brain what type of word that you're using. One of the areas that is a little difficult for people that especially have been out of school for a while and trying to remember the difference between adjectives and verbs and nouns and all that. It's kind of like if you don't use that all the time, it kind of slips away from your understanding. So, just a review for those who need it, um, and kind of a different way to think about it, because as a teacher, lots of times, especially growing up, maybe you also learn this way that nouns are person, places, and things. But it's kind of better to actually think of nouns as something you can give a number to or tell how much, something that you can quantify. So give a number to. And verbs, we often learned growing up that verbs are things that you do, action words. But sometimes there are verbs that don't sound very action like sleeping doesn't sound very action like. Or if I use the word stay, stay doesn't sound very action like. So instead, thinking of verbs is something that can have a tense. Like in English, we had ed for past tense or ing for something that you were doing. So it's kind of better to pull verbs into a more of an understanding of they have a tense. They tell you like when something happened. So in Chukchansi, verbs in the dictionary will have either an it at the end or a ta. Sometimes they'll end up with a toe, but they definitely have two forms, or the main ones that we put behind next to verbs. And then also nouns, we do put two verbs or two forms of the word, but just knowing the difference between them. Now, in the new dictionary, verbs have a longer entry and nouns have a shorter entry. So you'll see a lot of forms under the actual definition in verbs, and then under nouns, it'll give two, and then underneath it'll have two extra. So they're a little bit of a shorter entry. So here's an example from the dictionary. And it actually just says verb and noun next to them if it states what they are. But you'll see that the verb section is longer. It has the two at the top. So the first one is the like the current, present. And so the next one is the storytelling past. So the long ago past. And then it has yesterday past, command, suggestive, hypothetical, and future. So it'll have all those and all the verbs. And then nouns only have the two, object and subject form. And then we have we're talking about an owner or a place. So we're looking, in this case, we're going to just be studying all of the nouns. When talking about nouns, the noun that's in the first one listed in Chukchansi, it is the subject. So you could think of it as the doer or the verber, the one doing the verb. And in English, it's often, not always, but it's often at the beginning of a sentence. So that first form is the subject. It's like the main character. The second one listed is the object. Now, these are just for nouns. So the second Chukchansi word listed is going to be the object. So it's the one getting verbed. It's the receiver of the verb. And not always, but often it's at the end of the English sentence. So that last form you're going to think has something happening to it. Like I said before, we put them into clans, and it's more just for fun. It's not like an actual clan, but it's just to kind of solidify it to your memory. So our three types of clans or types of nouns. Officially, the Coyote clan is actually in linguistic terms called an H stem. And we put this in the blue here with coyote, because the word for coyote matches this type of word. So you see Kaʔyuʔ, it ends in a U, it ends in a vowel, even though it does have a glottal stop, and glottal stop is a letter, but it ends in a U, it ends in a vowel. And then that's in the subject form. To make the object form, we're going to continue the same vowel, whatever that was. So sometimes it's a U, sometimes it's an A. Remember A, E, I, O, U.
if it ends in any of those letters, you repeat whatever was the ending vowel and add an N. So we have Kaʔyuʔ, and Kaʔyuʔan. So we'll keep going with that. It could have been another vowel like checha for dog, checha. It ends in an A, so you could have done chechaan. So you added the A again because checha ends in an A and put N on it. So this next one, they're actually in linguistic terms called I stems, and it's because you add an I to the end. And often, not all the time, but the majority of the time, that vowel lengthens. So the middle vowel, if you look in the word deer, it only has one O, but when you get to the object form of the word, it adds an O and then has an I. So it's not uncommon to have an extra vowel there added and then the I, but the I stem is really what makes it be in this category. So for deer, it goes from khoy to khoy. So it adds an I right there. That's how you know that it is an I stem. The A stems, that's what the linguists call these, they add an A to the end in the object form. So wushel for eagle will become wushela. So you can kind of remember the types of nouns based on what is an example of that demonstrates that. So we'll look at some more of these. This is one of the activities I have my students do. So I give them a page of lots of different words. And of course, they're all in black and white. They're not color coded like you have here, but they have to sort them based on what they look like, how they form. So the Coyote clan, all the H stems will have that they end in a vowel, then you, in the object form, you add that same vowel with the letter N. And it has this extra glottal, or it keeps the glottal stop, but these are all the Coyote clan words. And then for the Deer clan words, the students are looking for the subject with an object form of it that ends in an I. So all of these words end in I. And then the Eagle clan ones are the ones that end in A. And also that fall under this category are the ones that end in O. O's are, I would say that they're really clicky and they like to stick together. It's actually called vowel harmony, where if it has O's, it wants to keep that sound going. So that's why you end up with a word like nopop becomes nopopo instead of adding an A. So it's a little easier to say. So noom would become noomo. But I's, or they end in A's and O's on this one. So if you look here, we have outja, on. So it ended in an A. We kept that A going. We added another A and put an N. If it was noho for bear, we added another O and put the N. If it was gadu, it ended in a U. So we added another U and added the N. So anyone that ends in a vowel in the subject form, we add that same vowel with the letter N to the object form. And then again, the Deer clan words, if you look, not all of the Deer clan words add an extra vowel. Like ote and otei, it just added an I from the subject form. But nebich became nebechi. So it did add the extra vowel. Yokuch became yokochi. Still has the I in there. Because of vowel harmony, it actually, when it added the vowel, it turned to an all O sound. But here's an example. What? In the subject form, just added an I to become what eat. Then Eagle clan, we have many words that just add the A. Like waheshit for mountain lion became waheshita. Or gotjob, we added an A, extra A on this case, gotjaba. Since your name is also a noun, a proper noun, you could look and see what clan would you be in if you were looking at your name. So my name is Kim. At least that's the short version of my name. That's what I go by. So if my name ends in an M, that's a consonant. So if we look down here, how does your name end? Does it end in a consonant or a vowel? So vowels being A, E, I, O, U. Consonants. Now, if it's a consonant, you could choose. Do you want to be an A stem with eagle, a Wushul clan? Or do you want to be an I-stem, like Deer clan? So it's if you just have an American name, obviously you don't have two forms of your name in Chukchansi if it's an American name. So Kim, I could either be Kimmy or Kimma. And remember, we don't have gender rules about words in Chukchansi. So a lot of times, especially the male students, they don't want to add an A to the end of their name and be an Eagle clan because they're used to that having a feminine sound. But that's very much a Spanish influence. So it could either be I or A, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. So because my nickname is Kimmy anyway, I chose to add an I, and I would call myself under Deer Clan. But let's take, for example, Shauna's name. Shauna ends in Shauna, so it ends in an A. So then she would become, because it ends in a vowel, she's going to add an A and an N to the end of her name. So if Shauna is the subject, she's going to keep the word Shauna. If something is happening to Shauna and she becomes the object, or something, a verb is being done to her, then she becomes Shauna on. So she would be under the Coyote clan. So you can figure out what your name is. What does it end in, a consonant or a vowel? If it's a vowel, you don't get to choose what clan you're in. You're in the Coyote clan. You just keep the vowel going with an N at the end if something is happening to you. But if you end in a consonant, you could pick either an I at the end of your name or an A. So Deer clan or Coyote or Eagle clan. The biggest first jump that you make as a learner of Chukchansi is understanding object and subject. It's not something that we practice or really are cognizant of in our everyday speech in English, unless we're like directly learning it. But we're going to get lots of practice, and don't feel like, oh man, I'm not getting this, because it takes quite a while to really get used to understanding object and subject. We're going to give these slides, and we're going to just look at which word is the object and which word is the subject for them. So this first one has a cat, and he is tashit, he sees, he's looking at, or he sees the mouse. So your cat is the gadu, and your kosoi is the mouse. So we would say, and what's cool is that we could put the verb first. Often we put the verb first. So that's why we have tashit at the front, and that's to see. Now you think about who is the doer in this, or the subject, and it would be the cat. And the mouse is receiving, it's being seen. So it's the one getting seen. It's getting verbed, right? So in English, it's kind of nice to say it in English, and then you could figure out some little clues about which word is which. So the cat sees the mouse. And often in English, not all the time, it won't work all the time, but often the last thing in the sentence is the one getting verbed, right? So kosoi, the mouse, is the one that should have the extra ending. So instead of saying kosoi, I'm going to say kosoi. And the doer gets the short version of the word. So for cat, we could say gadu or gaduan. And because he's the doer, he gets the short ending. So we have tashit, gadu, kosoi. Now this one is very similar to the one that was right before this. We have a different verb, but the same characters. So we have potet, which means to touch or grab or hold, but in this case, touch. And then we have the cat and the mouse. So for cat in Chukchansi, we could either choose gadu or gaduan. And for mouse, it's kosoi or kosoi. And in English, if we were to say the sentence, we would say the cat touched the mouse. So the cat is the subject, and the subject gets a shorter version. The doer is shorter. So instead of choosing gaduan, we choose gadu, the first one, the subject form of it. And then for mouse, the cat saw the mouse. So the mouse is getting touched, or not, it's supposed to be potet, so it's touch. The cat touched the mouse. So mouse comes at the end, and it is getting touched. So it's getting verbed. It gets the extra ending. So kosoi instead of kosoi. So it's the second form of that word. This one, yai wallet, is the verb, and it's first in this sentence, like we like to do in Chukchansi. It doesn't always have to be that way, but often the verb is first. Then we have coyote. Kaʔyuʔ, and then humnulla. So that's for quail. So the coyote chases the quail, is what it would say in English. So coyote is the doer. He's the main one in the sentence, the subject of the sentence. So he gets the short, the short form of the word coyote. So we could have chose kaʔyuʔ or kaʔyuʔan. So because he's the subject, we're going to give him the short form. And then for quail, we could have chosen the word humnul or humnulla. And because he is being chased, he's the one that's getting verbed in this sentence, he gets the extra ending. So this is an Eagle Clan word. It has an extra A at the end because he is the one getting chased. So Kaʔyuʔ, Waʔlaʔ, Kaʔyuʔ Humnulla. But you can put it in any order. This sentence says Tashit Shidgil Humnulla. So to see is the verb that's first, and Chitgil is a ground squirrel. We have two types of squirrels. So we have Mau and Maui, which is the gray squirrel, and then we have Chitgil, which is the ground squirrel. And again, we have the word for quail, so we could choose the word humnul or humnulla. And this one says, from the picture, you can tell in English that it is the ground squirrel saw the quail. So the ground squirrel is the subject. He's the doer, so he's not going to get an extra ending. And the quail is getting seen, so the quail gets the extra ending on it. So instead of saying humnul, we're going to use humnulla. And for shidgil, instead of having shidgilla, shidgil is the short form because he's the doer. Now this sentence, we switch the characters. So the quail is the doer, and the shidgil is the one getting verbed. He's getting chased in this case. So Waʔlaʔ is chase. And then for quail, because he's the doer in the sentence, he's the subject, so he's going to get the shorter version of the word. So we could have chose humnul or humnulla, but we're going to use humnul because the short version of the word says he's the subject. And then shidgil becomes shidgilla in the object form. He adds the A, so we know something is happening to him. This sentence has Waʔlaʔ for chase again. And the subject on this one is the dog. So we could choose Checha or Chechaan. And because he's the doer, he has the shorter ending. He's the subject. So Checha is going to be the short form instead of Chechaan. And then the skunk, he's getting chased. So he's getting verbed. He gets the extra ending. Something is happening to him. So instead of soch is sochi. So we added the I to skunk so that we know something is happening to him. For this one, I want you to pick which sentence you think is the best one to match the picture. So Tasha is to see, and you have two options for cat, so you could choose Kaʔyuʔ or Kaʔyuʔan. And then the word for skunk is either soch or sochi. So which one matches the sentence? The cat saw the skunk. So the cat is a doer, and the soch, the skunk, is the one receiving, it's being seen. So which sentence matches best? Tashet gadu sohi or tashet soch gaduan? I'll give you a minute to think about which one you should choose. And the top one was actually the right choice. It's gadu, the short form of the word cat, because he's the one doing the action, he's the subject. And then soch, as you can see, it gets the I because he has something happening to him. He is being seen. Now, if I switch the subject and I have soch as the main character in the sentence, then which sentence matches this picture? So I have soch, or it could either choose soch or sochi for skunk, and I have gadu or gaduan for cat, and then tasha is to see. So which sentence matches the skunk sees a cat? Hopefully you figured out that soch is the short form of the word for skunk, and the extra ending should be added on to cat, so gaduan. So you want Taşıt soch gadu'an. So the bottom sentence is the one that matches this picture. In this sentence, we added some color to really show who the object is. So the object has the extra ending, and they're the one receiving the verb. And then the subject is the one without the extra ending. So in this case, we have two characters. We have a dog, so cheche, and or we could choose the word chechean. Or for cat, we have gadu or gaduan, and our verb is yaiwalet, to chase. Now, in this case, we moved the verb. It's been at the front for a lot of these sentences, but because we have free word order, we could put that verb in the middle if we want. And the reason why we could do that is because we have an object and a subject that tells who is doing what and who is receiving what. So that's why we could mix it up in Chukchansi. So in this case, what is the sentence that we have? The dog chased the cat. So the dog is the doer. It has the short version, checha, and then we have the verb yawalet, to chase. And then the cat gets the extra ending, gaduan, instead of gadu, because he's the one receiving the chasing, right? So he's getting chased. Let's see if this Chukchansi sentence has the same meaning. If we have gaduan with the extra ending, so that's the cat. Remember, we could choose gadu or gaduan. So the cat has the extra ending. Checha, I could have chose checha or chechaan, and I chose checha for this one because he's the one doing it. He doesn't get the extra ending. And then yaiwalet can come at the end of the sentence for chase. So it's really strange if you were to put this directly word for word into translation. It says dog, cat, chase. But we know because cat has two forms of the word, cat, we chose the extra ending, the object form. So we know he's the one receiving that verb. He's getting chased. So this one does still have the same sentence as the one before, just mixed up. This time we moved gaduan to the front of the sentence. Then we have checha, and then we have yaiwalet. So gaduan, it has the extra ending. It's the object. Something is happening to it, and it's getting chased, right? Then we have checha, moved to the middle, and that's for dog. And we could have chose checha or chechaan, and we chose checha because he's the doer, and we chose the short form of the word. And then we have yaiwalet. So any order that we do it, we know the verb, and then we have the subject form of dog. You can see it has that short ending, and that's a good marker that it's the doer. And the one that gets the extra ending, he's the object, so he gets extra to him. Here's a new sentence. We have gadu, and then the verb in this one is yaiwalet, and then our dog is checha, right? And we could choose checha or chechaan. So for cat, we could have chose gadu or gaduan. So if I have the cat chased the dog, we want cat in the subject form. We want the short version of the cat because he's the doer. And the dog, because he's receiving the verb, he's getting verbed, he's going to get the extra ending to him. So instead of checha, we're having chechaan. And you can see, again, we're going to be able to mix up the sentence and it still means the same thing. So gadu in subject form, chechaan in the object form, and yaiwalet to chase, and that can come at the end. You ma. So your turn. You're gonna think, is it who or home? So I'm gonna give you a sentence. You're gonna either say yes, it is good, who, or you're gonna say home, it's not good. It doesn't match. Who or home. Chechaan, gadu, yaiwalet. Chechaan, gadu, yaiwalet. Is this who or home? In English, we would say the cat chased the dog. So who should have the extra ending? And who's the doer? Who should have a short ending? This is who. And we know that because the cat chased the dog. So the dog is getting chased. He's getting verbed. He should have the extra ending. And gadu is the doer. He's the subject. And so he should have the short ending. So the words are mixed up on this one, but does it still mean the same thing? Gadu, chechaan, yawalet. Does this still mean the cat chased the dog? So think about who the doer is and who's receiving the verb, who should have the ending. This one is who. So this still means the same thing. It still has the dog getting chased, so it gets the extra ending, chechaan. And the cat is still the doer, so it's got the short version of gadu instead of gaduan. So it still means the same thing, it just got the words mixed in a different order. What about this one? Gaduan, checha, yawalet. Does this still mean the same thing? Gaduan, checha, yawalet. So the cat chased the dog. Does it still mean that? And hopefully you recognize what makes this ahom not the right answer would be gaduan, because the cat is the subject. He's the doer in this. So he gets the short version of the word. And the dog, he's receiving the chasing. He's getting chased. He's getting verbed. So he should have the ending. So that makes this sentence incorrect because gaduan should not have the extra ending. If we fix the sentence, we would take off the gaduan and the extra ending would go on chechaan because the dog is the one it's the one getting verbed. So he's getting chased. Is this correct? Yawalet, chechaan, gadu. So think about who the doer is, what kind of word they should have, and who's the receiver, who's getting verbed, and what kind of word they should be. So if you said hu, you were correct. Yawalet is to chase, and then the one getting chased is the dog. So the dog, he's getting verbed, should get the ending. And the word for dog is checha. So it should have the object form of that word, chechaan, with the extra ending. And the cat is a gadu. And we could choose either gadu or gaduan. And so we have gadu on here for the short subject version. He's the doer, so he gets the short version. Is the sentence hu or ahom? We have gaduan, kosoy, yawalet. So in English, we would say the cat chased the mouse. Who's the doer and who is receiving the verb? If you said ahom, you are correct. The cat chased the mouse is the cat is the doer and the kosoy is the receiver. The mouse is the receiver. So gadu should be the short word. You could have chose gadu or gaduan, and this one had gaduan. So that was not correct. And then the mouse should have the extra ending. He's receiving the verb. So kosoy should actually be kosoi. To correct the sentence, we would need gadu to be short. And then because he's a doer, because the kosoy, the mouse, is the one receiving the verb, it's getting chased, it should have the ending. So it should have the extra I on there. Is this sentence hu or ahom? Kosoy, gaduan, yawalet. Think of the cat chased the mouse. Who's the doer? And who's receiving the verb? Who should have the extra ending? If you wilta, or if you said ahom, then you're correct. Again, this is gaduan with the extra ending. And we could have chose either gadu or gaduan. And in this one, it was gaduan. So that's usually the object. And instead, because it's the cat chased the mouse, the kosoy should have had the extra ending. So we'll look at what it should have been. If we took off the extra ending from gadu, because he's the doer, he just needs the short version, and we added the I to kosoy, so it was kosoi, then we'd have a correct sentence. Kosoyi kaʔyuʔ Waʔlaʔan. How about one last one with this set? So I should say the cat chased the mouse. Does it translate into Chukchansi? Waʔlaʔan kosoyi kaʔyuʔ. So do we have the doer and the one getting verbed with the right endings? And this one has kaʔyuʔ with the short form. That's because he's the doer, so that's correct. And then the mouse is the one getting verbed. It's getting chased. So it should have the extra ending, and it does. It has kosoyi. So switching it up here, we switched the cat and the mouse. So now the mouse is chasing the cat in this one. The mouse chased the cat. So who should have the ending and who should be the short form of the word, the object and the subject? If you said you're correct because the mouse is the doer in this one. So it should be kosoy is the doer. And then instead of kaʔyuʔ, because he's getting chased now by the mouse, then he's kaʔyuʔan. To fix the sentence, I would make kosoy the short version and drop the I. And then we want kaʔyuʔ to become kaʔyuʔan. He's getting chased, so he gets the extra ending. How about this sentence? Kosoy waʔlaʔan kaʔyuʔan. So who is the doer in the sentence? It needs a short form of the word. And who is receiving? It needs the ending. If you guessed who, then you're correct. Kosoy waʔlaʔan kaʔyuʔan is correct. The cat is the one getting verbed. He's getting chased, so he gets the ending. And the doer is the one with a short version of the word, so we leave it at kosoy instead of kosoyi. Is this who or ahom? Noho waʔlaʔan Waʔlaʔan. Who's the doer? And who's the one getting verbed? Who is correct. Noho waʔlaʔan Waʔlaʔan. The bear is the one doing the action, so he gets a short subject form of the word instead of noho'on. That's an object form. And because Waʔlaʔan is getting chased, he gets the extra ending. Instead of Waʔlaʔ, we have Waʔlaʔan. The English picture shows the cat chases the fox. Let's see if the sentence matches that. Waʔlaʔan waʔlaʔan kaʔyuʔ. Is this who or ahom? Who's doing the action and who is receiving the action? Who's getting chased? If you said who, you are correct. So the cat is the doer. So we chose the short form of the word for cat. Instead of kaʔyuʔan, we chose kaʔyuʔ. And then because the fox is being chased, we added the ending. Instead of Waʔlaʔ, we got Waʔlaʔan. We changed the picture in this one, so now the fox is chasing the cat. Does the sentence match? Is this who or ahom? Waʔlaʔan waʔlaʔan kaʔyuʔ. Who's doing it and who's getting chased? If you guessed ahom, you're correct. So the doer in this one is the fox. So instead of Waʔlaʔan, we needed Waʔlaʔ. And your wallet could say the same, but the cat is receiving it. It's getting chased. So kaʔyuʔ should be kaʔyuʔan. The sentence should look like this. Waʔlaʔ waʔlaʔan kaʔyuʔan. We'll try just a few more sentences. So this one is the dog chased the man. And it says on the sentence, nono'on checha waʔlaʔan. So who's the doer and who's receiving the chasing? Who's being chased? If you answered who, you are correct. So the dog's the doer. He needs the short ending. And the man is the receiver. He's getting chased, so he's going to have the extra ending on him. So this is who. What about this one? Noho Waʔlaʔan no noun. Who's the doer? And who's being verbed? Who's being chased? Who was the answer to this one? So noho is the doer. He gets the short version. Instead of nohoon, we chose noho. So that's correct. Waʔlaʔ just stays the same. And then you could have chose no or no noon. And because he is the one getting verbed, he's getting chased, he gets the ending. Try this one. Who or a home. No Waʔlaʔ no hoon. No Waʔlaʔ no hoon. Is this who or a home? Who for this one. So the man is the doer. He's going to have the short ending. And the bear, he's getting chased, so he gets the ending. So instead of noho, we chose nohoon. Is this also who? No noon, Waʔlaʔ noho. No noon, Waʔlaʔ noho. If you answered ohom, you are correct. No noon, because he has the ending, that's for someone that's receiving the verb. They're being verbed. And the man is not being verbed, he's doing the verb. So he should have a short ending. And noho, he's getting chased, he's getting verbed, so he should have the ending. So it shouldn't be noho, it should be nohoon. The sentence could be corrected if we had noho, no, Waʔlaʔ nohoon. So if we took off the ending from the man and we added it to the bear. How about kaʔyuʔ potit qosoy? Kaʔyuʔ potit qosoy. Who or a home? If you said who, you are correct. Qosoy is the mouse. He's the doer. He needs the short ending. So not qosoy, just kosoy. So he has that. And then potit is to touch. And then kaʔyuʔ, because he is getting touched, he's getting verbed. So he has the ending. Instead of kaʔyu, we did kaʔyuʔ. We're on to our last two practice sentences. This one says kaʔyu potit ushula. Kaʔyu potit ushula. Who is correct? Kaʔyu is the doer. He's touching the eagle. And because the eagle is getting touched, it has the extra ending. So kaʔyu potit ushula is correct. Tashet checha siksika. Is this who or a home? Who is doing and who is getting seen? Who is correct. So tashet checha siksika. The stink bug is getting seen, so he gets the ending. And the dog has the short version. Instead of checha is checha. I hope you got some good practice with understanding the difference of subject nouns and object nouns. And we'll continue to practice as we move forward. We'll move on with more on the noun clans on Wednesday the 8th at 6:30. And we'll have one more class before the holidays hit, November 15th, just so we can kind of break up those types of noun clans. We have the coyote clan, the deer clan, and the eagle clan. So we're going to look over those types of nouns a little more specifically. Mitch guys, thank you for watching.